Hi guys, Kayla Lewis here. My dramatic play activity is actually zoos. And I did this because I have like a personal interest in it, and kids also love zoos. So this is actually more of a student-led dramatic play thing. I was inspired by the investigation over like whenever the videos that we watch where they were investigating nature, and they went to go visit the flower shop. That way they could come back to the room and build their own flower shop. And so I was kind of inspired by, the investigation of that. So some of the stuff that we would have, and I've kind of already got it laid out, and I'll go into details on them later, but some of the materials would be like these lovely blocks again, and yes, they're the same ones that I use for my language arts activity. Then we got like a tube of animals that I got at the Memphis Zoo. Got some jumbo craft sticks, some construction paper, pipe cleaners, confetti, and some masks, and some paper, a map. And I'll show all of this in more detail in a minute. But what we would do to start out would, like I said, it's an investigation. So we would start out reading about it and learning about zoos. So this is the go-to book I would use just as a reference. It has a whole bunch of different kind of animals, and it has like some facts about them and a lot of really neat pictures. It's really colorful. And I'm actually doing this in my class right now, and they're loving it so far. We're just getting started. Then here's like another reference book. And then there's this one down here, which is the Wildcats, And then I also have just some reading books for like circle time. And so there's that one, which they loved. And then it'd be some other ones like this one, which we haven't read yet, but it's like one of the flat books. And I have a couple of others, like The Kissing Hand, just because it has a raccoon. The Sloth Slept On, which I really like because I like sloths. But it's also really cool because for older kids, it can kind of teach them observational skills. It's about like the sloth who just winds up in a random tree in a backyard, and these kids are trying to figure it out. And as they're trying to figure it out, in the background there are these right here. So missing, please return to the zoo. And so as you flip on, daily news, zoo breakout, zookeepers look high and low for the missing animal. And so it helps them like look, a little closer at different things because there's hints all throughout it. And a lot of fun font, a lot of nice and curvy things. This is all information about sloths. And it goes on. And it's really cute. So that's another book that we read. That was a mask that just went flying across the camera. And then we would also have other animals like this. This is Zuzu. He is our class sloth. My class named him. There's another one of the books. And so anyway, now I'm going to go into more detail on this stuff. So these blocks over here I kind of touched on already. They're kind of there so that they can build like miniature enclosures with the tiny animals if they wanted to. Or like all this construction paper and everything if they wanted more of a diorama. This could kind of represent snow. This could be maybe dirt or something. Or if they wanted to build the enclosures out of popsicle sticks. And so after we would learn about it, we would actually start talking about what kind of enclosures we wanted to build. And then I have the Memphis Zoo map down here, just so they can look at and have a reference to look, just to, like maybe they want to map out their own zoo. Maybe they want to map out the zoo in the classroom or something. And then I got this, and I got it from Teaching Mama. And this actually kind of goes with these name tags down here. And my name tags are interesting, to say the least. But they get the point across, They're not pretty, but yeah, it's fine. The kids would love it. But like you got a zookeeper one. And here's another zookeeper. I have a boy zookeeper somewhere. And then we have like the zoo vet. And so the vet would kind of go with this one. And so we would go around to the different exhibits. Another way that this is child-led is they're actually going to be allowed to bring their own stuffed animals if they want to. And so, like, say the person wants, or one of the kids wants to be like the zoo vet. So they put on their little name tag. This is all contact paper over so that they could write on it with marker, Expo marker. I'm not very good with contact paper, but you know, it's fine. So they would get this the zoo checkup, say if they were the zookeeper or the vet even. I guess this is more of the zookeeper. And so they would circle whichever animal they were looking at. So like one of my kids said she had a stuffed monkey she wanted to bring. So then they could get the Expo marker, circle the monkey, and you know, check, oh okay, I gave you food and water and I cleaned you and you're healthy. And so there's that. With the zoo vet, in my classroom, I actually have like a little doctor's kit, a pretend doctor's kit that they could use to like doctor up the animals. And then I also have a cashier name tag for somebody who wanted to work like the gift shop. So there's the cashier one, and then there's my boy zookeeper that I was trying to find a while ago. And so if they wanted to pretend to be one of the workers, they could do that. I also have this. And this is just like a little scavenger hunt, you know. Like, okay, which of our animals, or can you find an animal that lives in the desert? And if they find one, like say, here's my camel. Say, okay, here's a camel. Okay, so where does the camel live? The camel lives in the desert. So, you know, they can check that off. What kind of animal lives in the snow? Polar bear, can you find it? You know. Which one has scales? I don't think I have any birds. No, I don't have any birds. Which one has spots? Or fur? You could also use Zuzu for fur. Or, like, which one has stripes? Which one is tiny, which one is large, which is kind of hard to see with that because they're not really to scale, but you know, like the giraffe one is, I don't know, taller than the lizard. Like I said, not exactly to scale, but that's fine. And so that's just a little activity. Again, you can see my wonderful contact paper work there. And kind of one of the last things, because when I was bringing up this topic to my kids, they were like, well, Miss Kayla, can some of us pretend to be animals? And I was like, well, I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of costumes in the room to be animals, but I'll see what I can find. And so this was man, I forgot where I got this from. I'll put it in my comments where I got these masks from. Miniature, I don't know, miniature something. I don't know. I'll put that in my comments so that I can avoid, you know, copyright issues. But they actually had like several different ones for this. Several different animals. These were just the only two that I cut out for now, just for demonstration purposes. So you got the wolf and you got the giraffe. And so I can like tie the mask on them. And they can, you know, pretend to be a giraffe or pretend to be a wolf, or that there's like an owl, a snow leopard, different things like that. So then they can role play with each other, you know, or pretend play with each other. Like, say, little Susie wants to be the zookeeper. Oh, let me get the girl one. Little Susie wants to be the zookeeper. Little Billy wants to be the giraffe. So little Susie can, you know, pretend to go over there. She can even have her little checklist and say, okay, we're going to the giraffes, and then pretend to give the giraffe, little Billy, food, water, and pretend to clean him, I guess. I don't know, that one might be a little questionable. I don't know what they would do with that. Or little Tommy wants to be the zoo vet. And so little Billy is sick. And so how can, like, what, I can go and get my little doctor's kit and, you know, get you all better. And so that's kind of how they can role play with it. And like I said, they have a huge role in the creation of itself. And so another thing that's kind of cool is after they go through and do the creation, then they can go and have fun with it afterwards, which the creation itself is fun. Like, let's see, today we made elephants for our arts and craft. That are actually kind of like masks too, so if somebody wanted to use their elephant as a mask, they could do that. Yesterday we did giraffes. We've been doing animals for crafts the past 2 weeks to kind of like get them learning different animals. I have one kid in particular who loves this topic. She was so excited about it, and whenever I have time and we're like waiting for parents to pick up or something, I'll go and we'll watch some animal videos. And this particular child will get upset whenever it's time to go because she wants to keep learning about the zoo animals. And I think her favorite one is the camel. In the National Geographic Kids book that I had, that I showed y'all, she was like looking through, and we also have like the little camel in my classroom. And so she was like, "Miss Kayla, what's this? It looks kind of funny." And I was like, "Well, that's a camel." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, like, why does what is this on the camel's back?" So I was able to tell her they're humps. She's like, "Well, like, why are they there?" And I was able to tell her, well, that's how they hold water because they live in the desert where it's hot. And so now, every time she sees a camel, she's like, "Miss Kayla, it's a camel. Look." And I'll be like, "Where does it live?" "In the desert where it's hot and its humps hold water." And so they're already learning from this, and we're just getting started. And so that's really neat to me. And like I said, it's something that the kids are really loving because they're able to take a part in it. And we actually haven't started building our crafts yet because I've had a lot of kids out because some of them have been on vacation. But anyway, whenever all my kids get back, we're gonna hit this a little harder. One of the kids that's on vacation, she actually is coming back from the zoo today. And so she's going to get to do a little show and tell, and everybody's going to bring an animal and do a show and tell. And we then can talk about, well, where do you think, like one of my kids had a rabbit today. Rabbit's not a good example because rabbits live everywhere. But, you know, like say somebody was wanting to bring a monkey. Where do monkeys live? My kids would probably say in the trees. Or, honestly, it's kind of surprised me whenever I ask my animals, like an elephant, "Where does the elephant live?" And they said in the zoo. And I'm like, well, yeah, they do live in the zoo. But they're from Africa. And so it's like they didn't know that before. I just started this job here. They didn't know that before, that, you know, an elephant, yes, does live in zoos, but it's really lives in Africa. And so that was kind of like a wake-up call to me that, whoa, like, these kids just don't know, which they're young kids, I know. But, I mean, just, it really puts into perspective how the nature's going, how ecosystems are going, and all that. So, it's already been a really cool experience. They're going to be super excited whenever I get all these animals cut out and contact papered. I hate contact paper. And so, yeah, that's my little activity. And I'll just give like a little sweep over again of some of our stuff that we're using. And so, yeah. Yep. Hopefully it pays off, and hopefully they'll really come to terms with the zoos and how they can be in control of the classroom to some extent. And they can be in charge of their activities and all that, again, to an extent. So thank y'all for watching, and let me know what y'all think.